Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mindalia TV Live. Today, we are live streaming, and thousands of people around the world are watching us to see the interviews and talks organized by MindaliaTV.com. In this occasion, we have Angel Ribo, who is an entrepreneur, CEO, coach, and host for Mindalia TV, conducting an interview with Terry Wildemann, titled Angels and Business. Terry is a speaker, a facilitator, and certified coach. She works with business owners, helping them accelerate their wealth and health by reducing stress, improving mindset, intuition, focus, and clarity. Before we start, I would like to remind you all that if you would like to help the world through Mindalia, there are a few things that you can do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mindalia TV. Give us a like for this video, or leave a positive comment down below. Please know that with these actions, you're helping Mindalia reach even more people around the world who can benefit from our content. To allow your interaction, please remember there's a chat on the side of your screen, which you can use to ask questions to our guest, who will kindly answer them at the end of the interview. Without further delay, please welcome Terry and Angel Ribo. You, Angel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paula, for the introduction. And Terry, it's a big pleasure and honor to have you with us today on Mindalia TV. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Angel. I have been so excited about being on the show tonight.
Excellent. Let's start because, tonight's conversation is going to be deep and fruitful for everybody listening and watching us. So let's start with a very easy question so that, we can start framing a little bit the conversation, which is angels. We're going to talk about angels.
Yes.
Where are right now our angels?
Our angels are all around us. They're everywhere, and I know that for myself personally, they have helped me and actually saved my life and my daughter's life on a couple occasions, and they're always there for me. Always. I taught my kids about angels when they were very young, and they were able to connect with their guardian angels. And I actually pull my angels with me in every business decision, everywhere I go, even driving the wheel of the car when I need to figure out where I'm going. I tap into them and I get intuitive insight as to where to go. So they're my buds. They're my friends.
How can we find our friends ourselves, the people that is watching us at Mindalia TV? Some of them might be familiar with angels, others maybe not so much. How can we help them to tap onto onto the angels that are helping them all the time?
Well, a lot of it has to do with belief. If you are in disbelief, it's a little hard to listen to them. It's a little hard to pay attention to the signs, because the signs are there all the time. They're always leaving little things for us, whether it's a feather in the ground or pennies or whatever it is. There's always little signs that they're around. So what I did was, and I'll share with you what I did with my children. When we would go to bed at night, that I would have them get very, very quiet and put their hands on their hearts and just breathe and ask their angels to just show their faces or just sense their presence. And they would go, they would get very quiet, and they were, 2 years old, 3 years old at the max. And they would get very, very quiet, and their angels would come about, and they were able to get their names, and they were able to use and work with their angels throughout their entire lives. And what's interesting is recently I just did an enchanted boardroom exercise. As you know, enchanted boardroom is the name of my book, and there's an exercise that I do to create your enchanted boardroom. And this woman that I was working with happened to use the same name, Angel, that belongs to my daughter. And I asked, does this angel have any connection with my daughter? And indeed, it was the same angel. I almost fell off my chair. I never had that happen before. It was very interesting with soul groups and how everything becomes intertwined. So it's about asking them to show us. And there are exercises that I do in my workshops that I teach people how to physically connect with their angels. It's fun.
That's so interesting. Do our angels see things that we don't see, Terry?
You know, I don't know that for a fact, but I suspect that they do. And the reason for that is because of the situations where I know for myself that my life was saved. And one of them was, my 31-year-old daughter was 10 months old at the time. And so this was a while ago. And we had gone out to dinner to a Chinese restaurant to say goodbye to a friend of mine because we were moving to a new location. And when we were pulling out of the restaurant, she was buckled in really tight. And it was a small little car. And her car seat didn't fit in the back. And this was 31 years ago. The car seats were not what they are today. And she was in the front seat, buckled in real tight. But I didn't put my seatbelt on. And I heard this voice in my left ear. And usually, if you're a clairaudient and you hear words, they're usually in your left side. And I heard these words, put your seatbelt on. And I'm like, yeah. And I just pulled out. And there was a lot of traffic. And I just pulled out. And I heard the voices again. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I was ignoring it. All of a sudden, I heard this, put your seatbelt on now. And it's like, whoo, okay, I'm listening. Put the seatbelt on. And to make a long story short, 3 minutes later, I got hit by a drunk driver.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it was totaled the car. My daughter was okay, but she had contusions on her little chest from the straps. And if I had not had the seatbelt on, I would have gone through the windshield.
Was that the first time that you perceived something like that?
No, actually, there were a couple other incidences that had happened before that where there was one time where it was a very intense situation that I don't want to really get into the situation, but at the last moment I said, God, please help me. And I heard this knock. And it was a police officer knocking on the car door. And all I can say is he came out of nowhere because I was in the middle of nowhere.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah, it was. And that was, I was 18 years old. That was the first time that I really remember that intensity. I also remember a time when I was speaking with my sister's friend that they had just had a fight. And they were maybe 9 or 10 years old. And I was sitting on the front steps and talking with her. My sister had slammed the door and gone inside. And I was saying these words and saying this stuff. And she left. And I sat there going, where did those words come from? I felt these words and what had to be said coming from outside of me. And I walked into the house thinking, those were really big, mature words that And so that was around 9 or 10 years old.
And fast forward, when did you start to, let's say, did you make a decision at some point in time saying, I'm going to help people with this special intuition or feelings that I have? How did it all work out for you?
Well, it started actually when my kids were little. And I was working with angels for myself. I believed in angels. I loved angels. They, can you tell from my office in the back here? Yes. I have angels everywhere.
We can see a few.
Yeah. And it was for me first. And I really do believe that you need to help yourself and heal yourself first before you can really work with other people in a very authentic and integrous manner. And it wasn't until we moved here to Rhode Island 22 years ago that my holistic practice began to work. I was always a speaker, a trainer, a coach, a businesswoman. And I own my own manufacturing company. I was in law for enforcement for about 7 years, and I do believe, by the way, that the angels protected me, because it always seemed that all the bad stuff happened on everybody else's watch. It didn't happen on my watch. But when we moved up here, I started studying Reiki. I started studying past life regression, and my gifts began to emerge in a huge way. I started being able to hear things, see things, sense things. I wrote my first book in 1997. It was published in 1998 on telephone skills. And it was during, while I was studying to be a Reiki master. And the book came from out of nowhere, landed in my lap, the opportunity to write it, I should say. And I was really struggling. I was scared. I was very, very scared. And my friends who were with me studying to be Reiki masters, and they were all professional women, one of them said, "Why don't you ask for a writing guide?" And I got in the car after our class and I asked for a writing guide. And sure enough, Audra showed up, and I could feel her presence in the front seat. And after that, I would be woken up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would put my hands on the keyboard, and bada bing, bada boom, the words and everything just kept getting downloaded, and 1-800-COURTESY, connecting with the winning telephone image, came out of my fingers. It was already written in the ethers, and Audra assisted me in getting it on paper.
Wow.
So that was really the beginning of beginning to own my gifts. It took a long time to own them. It really did. It was a little scary because things were evolving and opening and happening so fast. And in my circle, I was evolving so fast that, there are times, unfortunately, even in the holistic world, there are people that can get envious, and you know how that kind of stuff works, Angel. And it sort of caused me to step back a little bit because I was getting so strong. And yeah, a couple incidences actually, and this is, this happens in life when you give away your power or allow an incident to control your power. And I did.
Oh, thank you for sharing those moments, Terry. Right now, obviously, since 1997, lots of different things have happened, right?
Oh,
in your
yeah.
life, and you have helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people already around you, and you've made a difference in their lives. When we think about angels, exactly, probably we all go to our childhood, right? When our moms or grandmas or grandparents would talk to us about them, or the guardian angel. How would you say that the first thing that we could do right now as adults, trying to be in that place in which we start listening to our angels?
The first thing is to put your hand on your chest and just breathe. And your hand becomes an air magnet. So allow the air to go. Imagine the air going through your hand into your chest, out of your chest, and through your hand. And the purpose for that is you're getting grounded into your body. You're getting out of the practical mind. You're getting into the emotional, energetic heart. And when you do this, you're connecting the brain and the head with the brain and the heart. The heart is a brain. And it's been shown to actually send more messages to the brain than the brain does to the heart. And it is known to release many of the same hormones that the brain releases also. So when you get into your body, you're actually connecting both, and you're putting yourself into a state of coherence. And this is key to resilience. This is key to listening, not only to your intuition, but to the people who you are interacting with. So this step is as important whether you're listening to your husband, your spouse, your employee, your coworker, or to your angels and your guides. So as you breathe and allow your mind to go blank, and ask a question and just allow the messages to come up. So that is one way, a very easy way where you can actually get into a stress-free zone so that you can really listen and get your body in a state of receiving.
That would be like the starting point for
Yes.
starting to receive,
Mm-hmm.
asking questions, and expecting to receive those answers.
Mm-hmm. Another thing you can do is you can get yourself a journal or a piece of paper, doesn't matter, with a pen, with a pencil, and just ask the question and just say, angels guide me, angels just guide me, and ask the question and just allow the pen to write, just allow your hand to write and get out of the way. The key to all of this is about stepping into a place of trust and belief and letting go. So it's trust, belief, and letting go. And when we do that, we allow ourselves, in a sense, to surrender. You know, you and I have had these conversations about surrendering. And when we surrender, we allow what needs to happen to happen. We allow ourselves to listen to these messages that often escape us because we're up here instead of connected with here.
Besides talking to us directly, is it possible that they also talk to us through other people around us, Terry?
Well, not just other people, also through things, without question. You could, well, case in point, you know, and this is big law of attraction stuff. Today I was speaking with a young woman who I basically helped to raise, and she lives in Texas, where you are. And I was asking about her brother, who happens to still live up here, and she mentioned the name of the place where he worked. And I was doing work, and all of a sudden this ding came up on my phone, and I looked at it, and it was a networking event that is being held at this person's restaurant, at his place of work. And it all happened within 15 minutes of our conversation. And it was a restaurant that I never heard of before. So, you know, so that's a form of law of attraction where the angels play a role in the energy of all of it. I know for myself, recently I woke up, I went to bed struggling about a question. And when I woke up, I looked over and there was a feather on my end table. Now, whether it came out of the pillow I was sleeping on, I don't know, but that feather was front and center. You know, where people are concerned, when you ask the angels for help, just the right people will show up. Just the right people will show up to help you if you stay open. So yes, I do believe that the angels' messages come through with the people that are around us and the things that are around us. There are messages in absolutely everything. Nature plays a huge role in that. Today, there looked like there was a tornado of bees in my backyard. Bees are about pollination. Bees are going from flower to flower. They can sting, but they also pollinate. And I was looking at what I was working on, and oh my gosh, am I pollinating? Pollinating a lot, and I was able, and it was interesting that the bees were there in 15 minutes that I was working on a very important project. So that's how, you know, it's called third level listening. When you allow the universe, when you allow your angels and your guides, everything around you to work together, because it does. Oftentimes I'll be coaching somebody and I'll say something and ding, the phone goes off. Take notice of that, because that's a signal.
What would you say? What do we know about the nature of the angels? What do we know? What kind of beings or entities can we say? How would you describe them? You are so used to talking to them and listening from them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think we tend to see them differently. You know, some of us see them without wings. Others of us see them with wings. I think a lot of it has to do with our culture, our environment, how it is that they present themselves is done in a way that makes us feel safe and matches what it is that we know to be true. So if you grow up with the idea that angels have wings, you're going to see angels as having wings. If you grow up with the idea that there's only earth angels and they don't have wings and they wear civilian clothes, and that's how you're going to see them. So everybody sees angels differently and guides differently. I had friends of mine who could actually visually see them and could describe what they were wearing in complete detail. I was so envious of that. Whereas I see them in my mind's eye, and I have a sense of them. So when in that sense, I feel it, and I see the images, I hear the words, I can intuitively, I use my body as a guide because I can tell how things feel, and I also know things. So there's the four clairs: clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, and claircognizant, when you just know. So it's really different for everyone.
does everyone have their own angels, or we share the same angels? There's a group of angels that we can tap onto, and there's a community that we share among. What do you think is going on exactly?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because if you remember, I had just said that I was coaching somebody last week, and they said the same angel name that belonged to my daughter. And I almost fell off my chair that it was like, yes, it's the same angel. Because I asked her, I said, would you ask that person if it's the same guardian angel as Brianna? And she's like, oh, absolutely, she is. I was dumbfounded because I never had that before or heard that before. So do I think we share angels? I do. I really do. There is a philosophy that we work in soul groups. And before we come into this world, we go back to our soul groups when this life is done, and we come back in soul groups. And each of us play different roles. It's almost like a telenovela, where you see the same actors and actresses in all different telenovelas taking on different roles. It's basically the same thing, from reincarnation to incarnation to incarnation to incarnation. And I do believe that our angels, I honestly think a lot of them just travel right along with us and guide us and prod us and push us and pull us back and are there to help us. And I think we often take on other roles as angels before we come into this life also. So, I mean, hey, we've got to practice,
Exactly. And speaking of practice, I was just thinking of the same thing. So before we practice or you suggested a way to try to tune and be able to listen to our angels. But what happens if we are, not on a situation in which we can do this, or we can or we cannot relax, or we cannot really center? What happens if we are really in an imminent danger situation and we want to call our angel? Is there a specific way to maybe, direct our thoughts or our words so that, we're doing it better? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense. And the best way that I can describe that is that incident when I was 18 years old. Okay. I was in a car with a guy, and I was being sexually assaulted. That's what it boiled down to. And I just said the words, "God help me." And the angel showed up. And I didn't realize that it was an angel. I did ask this police officer, where did you come from? How did you find us? Because we were in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere. And he said, "Oh, well, there was a robbery." I remember thinking he had to think about it. He said that there was a robbery in the area. And I combed the newspapers and there was nothing in the area. And it wasn't until about 20 years ago that I realized that it's an angel, for crying out loud. And he came just like this. So when we are in a time of need, and when I was in law enforcement, there were a few times I asked for the angels to protect me. When I walk out the door, I ask my kids, I ask the angels to protect my kids, to protect me. When I'm driving, to protect me. And it really is about asking. I don't think there's any right or wrong way. Just call them in. My daughter was driving to college, and you know the mom thing, you have these sense of things. And I, as always, it was a 5-hour drive. I sent the archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. I said, "Okay, guys, go. Protect her. Put her in your bubble." And a couple hours later, I was doing laundry in the den. And I got a flash, an image of Archangel Michael with his long hair behind him, with his hand on the front of her car. It was a red Impala. And I could see him steering her car. And I could see the angels on the right, the left, and behind him. And I just stopped dead in my tracks. I had no idea what was going on. I was not about to call her. And about 10 minutes later, I got a phone call with this very small voice, "Mommy." And she was on the side of the road. The car was on the side of the road. She was doing 70 miles an hour on the New Jersey Turnpike. And there was a tire in the left lane. And she doesn't know how she got to the side of the road. So I am sure she called them in, but they were already there because I sent them with her when she left the house.
So we're talking about, personal experiences, individual experiences. But at the end of the day, we are all of us in some sort of, organization, community, tribe, group. And, especially I would like to talk about those groups in which, they are together to generate wealth, with a higher purpose than generated maybe wealth, but at least wealth for all the employees, which are businesses.
Yes.
So can angels really, really help businesses, Terry?
Yes. Yes. And here's how. I may not go into a business and talk about angels, but I'll go in and I will teach leaders how to work with intuition. Okay? Because not every leader would be open to talking about angels. But when I teach them how to work with intuition and how to integrate it with everything that they do, and it's a fact that intuition has been used by amazing leaders worldwide for centuries and centuries and centuries. Look at all the quotes written by leaders in reference to whether it's a military professional or an inventor. There are quotes everywhere about the power of intuition. And I engage the angels at that point. And then once there's a little bit of trust, I may bring angels in once I have created trust and comfort with the person that I'm interacting with. So it's intuition it comes from the inside out, but a lot of our intuition, I believe, is driven or can be driven both by our angels and our guides from the outside. So, but I use intuition as a catch-all phrase, as a safe word, so to speak. Thus the name of my business, Intuitive Leadership.
According to your experience, how open are today's business leaders to intuition?
Much more so than before. Let me rephrase that. I think a lot of them, I know that a lot of leaders are open to intuition. They're fearful of talking about it because they're concerned that they're going to be thought of as a fruitcake. However, Napoleon Hill wrote about in his book, Think and Grow Rich, that in his mastermind, when two minds come together, a third mind is created. That third mind, the catalyst is intuition. The catalyst is coming together, talking, listening, working with your body. When you're in that place and that third mind is created, that is insight. That is the universe feeding us information to allow us to get to the next level. So many leaders are meditating now. There's so much, when I created my leadership center, the Winds of Change Holistic Education and Leadership Center, from 2001 to 2009, we taught leaders about professional development, and I would talk about resilience and intuition and sort of sprinkle it in. But could I actually talk about intuition? It's a little dicey, but there were a lot of them who were open to it. But it was interesting how people were from in that decade to where they are now at the end in 2018. Much more open. Workplace spirituality is a very common thing. Resilience is a common word. Meditation rooms are now in the offices. People are much more open to it.
Is it possible that leaders would use intuition, but would call it, or using a different word?
Oh, yes.
Or maybe they are already using it, but they don't know that they're using it. Is it possible? Is that something that you have seen?
Absolutely. Every time they say, it's a gut thing. Intuition. I'm following my gut. Intuition. And it's shown, that gut, that chakra center, that energy center, that gut place, they have found brain cells in the gut also. So whatever's up here is going through our bodies also. So, that gut place, that, hey, I'm listening to my gut. If it doesn't feel good, hold on here. And you can always tell when your body begins to release. When you start to listen, too, to the aches and pains in your body, those are messages.
According to your experience, what do you think that the intuition provides a leader that another leader without intuition doesn't have?
It gives them insight. It gives them insight. It helps them with decision making. It influences how they communicate and how they lead. So those are quite big areas that a leader who really allows themselves to work on all cylinders, to be completely integrated with the practical and the logical and the emotional and the energetic. That kind of individual, they're rocking it, and they can really get things moving forward because of their vision and their insight.
Wow. Do you think that actually an entire organization can be taught how to become more intuitive, not only the leaders, but the entire organization? Is that something that is possible?
Yes. I do believe it's possible. I truly believe it's possible. And it has to start at the top, by the way. To bring somebody like me in, or there's a lot of trainers who do what I do in terms of intuition now and coaching and that kind of thing. I won't go in at the front level, at the front line, because to come in and work at the front line is a waste of time, energy, and money. Because when I go in and train them, I'll be helping them. However, since their bosses have no clue what I'm teaching them, anything I taught them is going to go right out the window, and they'll go back to old habits because they're not being supported. So this kind of training, education, and coaching has to start, I should say, at the highest levels and have a trickle-down effect on the employees.
Understood. So the leaders are the key.
Absolutely.
Going back to the way that you help leaders to become more intuitive. The leaders that really trust their gut, and eventually they acknowledge that this is intuition. Can you help them in a systematic way to tap on their intuition, to actually try to, cope with all the different situations? Because obviously a business is a very complex system.
Yes.
Terry.
Yeah.
So
well, yes, it is. It really is. A business is, because you've got the organization, you have the people, you have the systems within the organization. So it's about bringing all three of those areas together. And it can be challenging, but here's what I know. Here's what I know. When we put as much focus on our human capital as we do on our financial capital, we really then begin to cook, and cook well. And it becomes a delicious meal, because human capital drives how it is you're going to be creating the financial capital and the profit. So when we invest in our human capital and we allow and support our employees and our clients to grow and give and be the best that we can be, so that they can be the best that they can be, the vibrational scale just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And it's what I call the waterfall principle. And you and I have talked about this in the past with the waterfall principle. Imagine two waterfalls, okay? Two waterfalls. This waterfall here has the client at the top and the employee at the bottom, okay? At the bottom down here. This waterfall is the reverse. It has the employee at the top and the client at the bottom. So this one over here on the left, let's start with that one first. If the client is at the top of the waterfall, and water is both healing and destructive, okay? So if we put the client at the top of the waterfall and the employees are down here, how hard is it for the employees to reach the client at the top of the waterfall? You can feel the stress, you can feel the negativity, you can feel the struggle. You're moving a boulder up there against all of that water. It is very hard. So when the company focuses solely on the client, that's what's happening. Okay. Now let's go over here. The employee is at the top and the client is at the bottom. When you put customer service focus on those employees and you treat them with trust, honor, respect, integrity, loyalty, and love a fellow man, and they feel valued and they feel appreciated, all of that great stuff is going to naturally flow downstream onto the client. And the client is going to be the recipient of that. And all of that are values, and it's non-dogmatic spirituality. It's about treating people well. And you can be intuitively guided, and the angels can be a part of that when you incorporate it and bring it all into that wonderful, wonderful waterfall.
what happens when you are able to teach intuition to an entire organization? Because you've mentioned before, like, the power of more than one, right? The power of two, the power of three.
Yes.
So what is actually created when an organization starts continuously tapping into the intuition, or even, I don't know if that's possible, but start, listening and talking to their angels. Have you ever been in an organization that has been able to do that?
I don't actually. The one organization I'm thinking of, I did not bring angels into it, but I did talk about law of attraction and intuition. I don't think I would have been able to get away with talking about angels in this specific setting. However, what happened was, when I came in, I taught them law of attraction first and resilience. So I integrated topics in a very tight way that they didn't even realize I was really talking about law of attraction. I was calling it magnetic business attraction. And I was teaching them stress management skills, because they were a call center. And I was actually changing their language and being more proactive and positive with the clients that were calling in, the customers that were calling in. So I was working with each individual person, and they would have these notes on their monitors and on their desks, and you actually saw a happiness level that went from here to way up here. And the clients, or I should say the employees, they just really loved coming into work. It was just much more positive. So when they're feeling like that, the clients are going to feel like that.
Is there a relationship between the level of intuition that a particular company's leadership has and their, let's say, their capacity or their ability to grow the business?
You know, sometimes, yes, I'm going to say yes to that. But sometimes fear gets in the way, Angel. And the fear comes from the practical mind. It's very challenging to be able to step out of logic and practicality at times, because you have this pile of money, for example, and you've got to pay all of your employees. How am I going to do this? So to tell a CEO or a business owner, trust and believe, they're going to look at you like you have three heads on your shoulders. So at that point, it's about tapping into intuition and strategizing and getting into a place of tactics that allow these CEOs and entrepreneurs to be able to develop a plan to attract more of what they want and less of what they don't want. So that's why the integration is so important. It's really bringing it all together so they're listening to both sides of themselves.
Further question regarding surrendering. This is a term that I love, and you also love the term. Is it possible for an organization define some sort of strategy so that they literally surrender? I don't know if to say to the universe or to surrender to something that can help them in their business objectives.
I truly believe that has to be an individual thing, person by person by person by person. Some people are going to be in trust, and it all depends on their behavior styles. You've got the task-focused individuals, and you have the people-focused individuals. The people, all four behavior styles, the dominant, the influential, the steady, the conscientious, they all interact and see their environment and see the world very differently. So it's really about working with each person individually, their behavior style, their emotional intelligence, and bringing it all together in a way that makes them feel safe. So it really is one person at a time.
Excellent. Now, before, when you were explaining about what happened with your daughter's car, you actually mentioned 2 or 3, I think they're called archangels, right?
Yes.
You mentioned their names. What's the difference between an angel and an archangel?
Well, a lot of it has to do with a hierarchy, just like in business. Okay. You've got the big shots, you've got the middle managers, and you've got the worker bees. It's the same thing in the angel hierarchy. So the archangels are right up there, and then you've got I forget. I'm not up on the hierarchy of angels, to be really honest with you. But yeah, it's just like there's a schematic on them. I've got a book here that has the schematic of the angels and where they all fall into, and it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. The audience didn't see that. Our viewers, Mindalia TV's viewers, didn't see that. But before the show, you were kind enough to use a deck of cards.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So would you mind sharing those cards with the audience and maybe tell us what are those cards about?
Okay, well, guess what? The cards I pulled for you personally are back in the deck. So
Okay.
let's pull. This isn't the deck I meant to use. Okay. This one. Okay, I'm going to pull a card from this deck. I have a whole bunch of decks. And oftentimes I'll be working with these angel cards. without, because I coach mostly online and via phone. And when I do my one-on-one coaching, and there are times that my client doesn't even know I'm working with the angel deck, and I use them because they're not ready yet to go to that place. And I use them to give me insight as to what the next question is or what the challenge can be. So what is this? This one here is, this one keeps coming up. It's been coming up all week. So for whoever this is, a happy move to a new home or place of employment is in the works. This movement will usher in positive new energy. So this specific card are for those who are curious about employment, who are curious about buying a house. If you're coming to this show asking those questions, it's happening for you. Okay. It's going to happen for you. A happy move to a new home or place of employment is in the works. This movement will usher in positive new energy. So whoever you are who is having that situation, who is in that situation wanting to know the answer, it's a yes. All right, listen to your gut.
So what you're doing right now is you're pulling some cards.
Yes, I am.
And you're actually responding some of the, like, say, nuances or issues or questions that our audience has on their mind right now. That's what's happening. That's what's going on.
Exactly what's happening.
What is the special thing, special ingredient that those cards have?
Basically, these are all angel cards, and I have, at the moment, I have like 15, 20 of them, and I intuitively knew which ones to pull. As I'm interacting with you, I'm putting my hand on each one, and I can sense which is the card deck I am meant to be using based on my intuition right now. So this, like for right now, I just heard the number 3. So I'm going to pull the third card out. And this is energy work. Okay. And energy work dovetails with angels. And it's about life can be electrifying because its very essence is energy. Your body is a remarkable energy field that will positively respond to loving treatments. Your hands and heart are activated to give healing energy to your loved ones and clients. So for those of you who are curious about getting into energy work, this card is saying, yes, go for it. Because we all have energy. We're all made up of energy. And if you're the kind of individual who people say to you, oh, your hands are so warm, those usually are the hands of a light worker, an energy worker. And you could study Reiki, you could study tapping where you're using the meridian points. You can study EMDR, which works with the eyes. You can do NLP, emotion code. I do a technique called energy release technique. So you are being given a humongous yes. Go for it. And whatever modality that you are saying yes to, or if you are coming to the call or coming to the show with asking about whether or not you should make the shift into the holistic field, allow yourself to be open to the different modalities that may show up for you. For me personally, it was one modality showed up, one after another, after another, after another. And it was the right modality at the right time. It started with the angels, then it went to being a Reiki master. Then I started body talk. Then I became an executive coach and a certified coactive coach. Then I got licensed with the Heart Math Institute. And then from there, I got into tapping, which is EFT, emotional freedom technique, which works with the meridians. Then from there, I got into neurolinguistic programming, which is NLP. So everything was delivered to me, spaced out at just the right moment. So this card is saying, yes, go for it.
Excellent. So we're going to start actually going to answer the questions from the audience. And before we do that, I would love you to just share with our audience, where can we find Terry Wildemann?
Thank you for asking. My website is www.intuitiveleadership.com. You can find me on Facebook. I have a new page that just went up called Angels in Business. I also have a page called Intuitive Leader. And on Twitter, you can find me at Angels in Business. And let's see, and Terry Wildemann and Leader Intuition. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Terry Wildemann.
Excellent. Let's go for the questions. Then,
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Exactly. All right. So I think we have a few questions. People really, I think that they follow your lead big time because they're asking questions to their angels, I think. So let's help them with their angels. Thank you for being so generous, Terry. So they actually, a few of them, they're giving their names and where they were born and their dates. Is that something that you need in order to try to help them? Do you want me to tell you their names or?
No, I don't need to go there. Here's the thing. This is not about astrology. Okay, those are the things you use for astrology. And this isn't about, I'm not an oracle. I don't tell you, I can't just sit here and tell you the future type thing. I tell you what comes to me. All right, not tell you. I share with you what comes to me. If somebody comes in from a past life or who has passed over, that has happened with me in some of these sessions, they're meant to, for whatever reason. So I go with the flow. This isn't about telling you, yes, you're going to get a job. Yes, that's not how this works. It's about answering the questions. I pull the card. I ask the angels for guidance. And I answer the question based on the card that is in front of me. But I don't need astrological signs. I don't need time of birth. I don't need your name. I don't need any of those things.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad I shared with you that before, disclosing any private information. So let's go for the first question then. I would love to know, it's a gentleman, okay, or it's a boy, excuse me. I would love to know who is my spiritual guide and what would be the best way to contact him or her.
Okay. I can't tell you who your spiritual guide is. Only you can determine who your guide is. And I shared several experiences or several techniques on what to do to be able to tune in. So here's the image that's coming to me. When you go to bed tonight, try the technique. It's called the quick shift technique. The technique I taught you to put over your hand over your heart and breathe in and just relax and clear your mind out. And ask your angels to come to you. Ask them to present themselves to you and allow them to do so. Now, if you are doing it from a place of neediness, it's going to be really hard for you to hear it. If you're doing it from a place of, I have to know, like that, it just gets really hard because you're going at it from the wrong direction. It's about just letting go. It's about allowing the chair to support you, allowing the bed to support you, and just relaxing and releasing, and trust that the angels and your guides are going to present themselves to you at just the right moment in time. There is a technique in my book The Enchanted Boardroom, where I teach business owners and entrepreneurs how to invite their enchanted boardroom in. And these are your, in business, you have your board of directors as an LLC, and these are the people who give you guidance. You have your personal board of directors, which are your friends, parents, significant others, and then you have your enchanted boardroom, which is those that are out here. And I walk you step by step in how to create your enchanted boardroom, and that may give you some insight as to how to call them in and bring them into your own boardroom. I speak with my enchanted boardroom constantly throughout the day.
Interesting. Thank you. Let's go to the next question. Last summer, it's a lady. Last summer, I found out I have a little benign tumor close to my optic left eye. I have to do an MRI every 3 months to make sure it doesn't grow. Could you see if the tumor should be removed? I get light headaches on that side sometimes, but I'm optimistic that with my visualizations and meditations, the tumor will disappear. what would you recommend?
I am not a medical intuitive. Okay, so I can't make a recommendation. However, I will say this: the mind-body connection is very, very powerful. And in Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Yourself. And if you're here, I'm sure that you are probably very familiar with the book You Can Heal Yourself by Louise Hay. Eyes are about what you don't want to see. So the question to ask yourself, what is it that you don't want to see? And if you're getting headaches, especially migraine type things, look at the word migraine. Okay, migraine. What is going against my grain? So take a look at what you're eating, which could be going against your grain, and you may be sensitive to it. Look at the job. Look up. Before I closed my center in 2009, I was getting a migraine every day for 2 months. Until one day I just said, enough, I have to close the center. I can't do this. Bada bing, bada boom, the migraines disappeared after I closed the center. Okay. And what do migraines do? They affect your eyes and you can't see the light because you're so sensitive. So when you look at the messages here, what do you not want to see? And where the headaches are concerned, just note what you're eating and when the headaches are happening. That is the best that I can offer you.
What is a tumor, according to your experience? What is a tumor? What does it mean?
You know, I'm going to pull the book out. Hold on one second.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you so much. I mean, we really appreciate it.
I should have had this book out anyway.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
This is Louise Hay's book, which I love. And unfortunately, my phone died last night, and her app, which is no longer available, went with it. And I was so disappointed. Tumors, nursing old hurts and shocks, building remorse. That is what tumors are about, according to Louise Hay. Nursing old hurts and shocks, building remorse. So one of the ways to eliminate hidden emotions is doing EFT or emotional release technique or emotion code. You can get yourself, you can buy books on EFT. The Tapping Solution is Wonderful by Nick Ortner, or the Emotion Code. It was written by a chiropractor, and his name is just going right out of my head. But the Emotion Code. Personally, I've been using the Emotion Code more because it helps to identify what is underneath, what is hidden that we're not seeing. And I've seen tremendous results with that. So that may be one of the ways or one of the techniques that you can use to release old hurts. And a lot of this stuff can go all the way back to when we're kids and actually before birth and past lives. And it can go back lifetimes and generations.
Awesome. Thank you. So actually, just by coincidence, the next viewer is asking us, for almost 17 years, I have had chronic migraine headaches and no doctor. It's just like you were calling it, Terry. Migraine, for 17 years, chronic migraine headaches, and no doctor has been able to find out what causes them. I would like to know if this condition is physical, emotional, and spiritually related, and what can I do to resolve it or to remove the blockage that keeps me from healing?
Okay. I'm going to recommend the same book, The Emotion Code. Okay. And again, notice what I had said about migraines. And have you gone to see an allergist to find out if there's a food allergy, a food sensitivity? Because I know for myself, when I eat wheat, I get migraines. Okay. It also has to do with hormones. So, I used to get at a certain time of the month, I always got migraines. So it really, there are a lot of things to look at. Again, I am not a medical doctor. That is not what I do. However, from the mind-body connection, what I said earlier, there be hidden emotions that are really triggering this. And I would start to write in a journal or keep track of when the migraines are coming, the time of day, what you ate, what you're saying, what you're doing. I would suggest that there is probably something there. There's a pattern there that is triggering those migraines. What is going against your grain? Especially, was it 18 years?
17 years.
17 years. So I'd be curious to find out what was going on at the time that they started. That would be my one question. What's going on emotionally at the time they started?
Interesting. Awesome. Next question. I'm currently struggling with the relationship with my partner. It seems like we cannot agree in anything. From your experience, what do you think angels would advise me to do?
Okay, now is this a business partner or a personal partner?
A personal partner. Mm-hmm.
Personal. Okay, everybody's personal tonight. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right, can you repeat the question again?
Absolutely. I'm currently struggling with the relationship with my partner. It seems like we cannot agree in anything. From your experience, Terry, what do you think angels would advise to me?
Okay, the first thing, okay, I'm getting it very loudly. The first thing is to understand behavior styles. Okay, I'm going to recommend that you learn about behavior styles. Where the angels are concerned, they can give this answer and that answer, whatever. But I'm actually seeing the word DISC, D-I-S-C. Dominant, influential, steady, and conscientious. When two people aren't getting along, a lot of times it's because we're looking at situations from different perceptions. And each of the 4 behavior styles sees life very differently from different perceptions. So when you understand the different behavior styles and incorporate it with your intuition and guidance that comes from the angels, angels can help you in that way when you help yourself. When you help yourself. So it's about becoming knowledgeable in human behavior, and DISC is a lot of fun. I did say to pull a card, the green deck. So okay. The card that came up in answer to that question is, that doesn't make sense, but maybe for this person it does. Your life purpose involves travel. So I'd be interested to find out what these challenges are about. Is it a travel thing? Is it the fact that this came up that is travel? What is it about that you're arguing? What is it you're arguing about? So if travel is what you're arguing about, your life purpose has something to do with that specific card. So angels, pull out another one. That deck. Yeah. And I don't question, by the way, what cards pop up. It may not make sense to me, but for the person who is asking the question, it can make complete sense for them. The next one has to do with flowers. Okay, for this person. Working with flowers opens your heart and brings blessings to others through your life purpose. What do flowers do? Flowers bring joy. Flowers bring energy. Can you tell if it's a man or a woman asking the question?
No.
Okay. So what's coming to me with these flowers are, go look at flowers, go walk in the garden, go connect with Mother Earth and listen to some of the insights that come to you. Touch the trees. The trees are alive. They will give you inspiration. They will give you information. Go to the color of flowers that draw you in. The different shapes, the different forms can give you different insights in regards to specific parts of this situation with the relationship. For a lily for lilies in general, it's about the trumpet. The flowers themselves are made like trumpets, and if you are called to interact with lilies, what is it that you are to celebrate? What is it that you need to announce? Okay, so in your relationship, it's often about speaking your truth. So we need to know a little bit more here to help you in coaching. But the DISC profile, you can go on YouTube, type in DISC, and learn about the different behavior styles, and it will give you insight into yourself and into your partner. So ask your angels to take you to just the right person on YouTube that you can learn that behavior about the behavior styles from them.
All right. Next one. Can
Yes.
we communicate with our angels through our dreams? If
Yes.
if so, how do we do it?
Okay. It's funny. I'm asked that question a lot. I set the intention. I ask people to set the intention before they go to bed. What answers do you want? And keep a notebook next to you with a pen or pencil. And when you first wake up in the morning, just start to write out the dreams. Write what comes to you. And soon patterns are going to come. When I do that, I don't get, for me, it doesn't work as well when I do that. I do get a restful sleep, but I don't always get the answers that I'm looking for various reasons. I have friends of mine who do that every night, and it works beautifully. So it is about trying lots of different things. And basically, it's about throwing the spaghetti against the wall and see what works for you. Because for some people, it works. For others, it doesn't. But if you really want to work with angels and dreams, ask the question, write it in your journal, go to bed, get a good night's sleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night, note what time it is, put it in your journal, go back to sleep. Stay away, by the way, stay away from phones and computers about an hour before you go to sleep so that you can get rid of that blue of the lighting to help you get very quiet and go back to sleep go to sleep quickly. So when you wake up, please don't go to computers or phones if you want to interact with the angels and hear the intuitive insights. Just go back to sleep or read or something like that, but stay away from electronics. And when you wake up in the morning, just keep writing and see what the continuous message is about.
Excellent. Thank you. Next one. Can angels help our homes? Let's say clear bad energies. Whenever I clean my home, sometimes I feel the need to pray, and I do. And
Excellent.
I do. Could this be a way they are communicating with me?
Without question. Without question. And congratulations for following your intuition. Because when you feel the need to pray, when you feel that need, just do it. Just do it. I think we're so conditioned by society that these feelings and emotions that we get are wrong, and they're not. Do what feels right.
Excellent. Next one. Are there any general tips to work in the everyday with our business? Prayers or meditations or affirmations?
All of the above. Okay, all of the above. When I wake up in the morning, I lay in bed for at least 5 minutes and I do a quick shift. And quick shift is a very quick 4-step piece where I put my hand on my chest. I breathe into my hand, into my heart, allow my mind to go blank, and I go into a state of gratitude and appreciation. Thank you for my home. Thank you for my food. Thank you for my pillow. Thank you for my covers. Thank you for a good night's sleep. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. What that begins to do in the very beginning of your day is it is bringing in all the good hormones in your body. It is reducing your cortisol levels, increasing your DHEA levels, and you are literally priming yourself for a really good day from a law of attraction perspective. Throughout the day, I am constantly talking to my angels and guides. I connect in that 5 minutes. I connect with my enchanted boardroom. I ask them to be with me and to speak with me throughout the day and talk with me. There are times when I'm in my head and it's like, oh, I got to get in my head, and I'll go take a walk whether it's lunch or taking a break, and I connect and just say, just give me the downloads, give me the downloads, and away we go. And at the end of the night, I do the same thing.
Excellent. Next question. What do the angels advise to me as what can I do at work to stand out positively or get more recognition?
The first thing that comes up is be yourself. Don't be what others want you to be who you want to be. That is the very, very first line that came in very, very clearly. Okay. As far as being recognized is concerned, it's about when you are yourself and you're doing good work every single day, learn to, when you have to say no, and I write about this in my book about positive words and phrases, shift your language to a place where if you have to say no, no, I can't do this, but yes, let's work on awakening the possibilities together. You know, offer an alternative. Your language, how you present yourself. Look at your image. Look at the way you speak. Look at the way you handle yourself. Look at the way you interact with other people. All of those things are key to you elevating yourself first, so that your energy then is going to elevate and you're going to be recognized, because you then become the go-to person. People feel good around you. You're helping other people. Know when to say no. You're helping other people. You're trusting yourself, and you tap into that intuitive place of yours that, you know, when you tap into your, and something tells me you're a very intuitive person. When you tap into that intuition, you're going to know what to do and how to do it. But the key I keep getting is you must be yourself. Don't try to become somebody else's version of who they think you should be. And I'm going to pull a card for you. This card. This card. Interesting. Okay. I'm curious if this person gets images in your mind's eye. If you get images in your mind's eye, trust what you see in your mind's eye as well as your physical sight. For your spiritual vision helps you with healing, teaching, and guidance. You are profoundly clairvoyant. So if you're getting images, what's coming to me is you may not be trusting them. Trust them more. Listen to the images that are coming in. Ask open-ended questions of those who are around you. Instead of telling, share, and ask open-ended questions so that you get information to assist you in guiding the people who are around you. Because it is all about healing, teaching, and guidance, and that's how you're going to get noticed.
Excellent. Next one. This one comes from Texas. I like to know why, even though I am well-trained, continue to educate myself in many levels as a health coach and interior decorator, I avoid people from reaching me. What blocks me?
Oftentimes we have a fear of success. Okay, and this isn't, I'm not even going to get with the angels here on this one. I'm going to put my coaching hat on, if I may. There's a fear of success, a fear of making money, a fear, there are a lot of fears that we hold inside of us that self-sabotage us. And we could be doing all the right things, but if you don't feel you're good enough, if you don't feel that you deserve this much money, if you don't feel that, if there's a self-esteem issue there, if there are hidden emotions from your youth, and we can find that very quickly using emotional release technique, I can get clearly into those specific blocks and we can clear them out so that you can begin to let go. You can let go of that energy, and from a law of attraction perspective, begin to attract yourself to yourself what's going on. So usually that self-conscious stuff or subconscious stuff under the surface. You're doing everything right. You're saying all the right things. Yes, I'm doing it and doing it. My gosh, I'm doing it all. What is going on? Subconscious, self-sabotaging emotions that you may not even know about.
Excellent. And now the last one, Terry, in working with a group of managers, any strategies for getting this diverse group open to these ideas?
Okay. Yes. The first thing to do is ask if there are challenges with decision making. If there are challenges with decision making, there are techniques that we use that are very practical, logical, and energetic that do with resilience, that are based in science, that we can help with decision making. If it's about innovation, decision making and innovation go hand in hand, because if we don't allow ourselves to innovate, a lot of times that's fear-based stuff. So to be able to talk somebody to come in, you can talk with them about improving your communication. My book, The Enchanted Boardroom, actually goes through stress resilience, communications, and it has a lot of techniques in there on magnetic business attraction that can help entire teams when they're working with these tools to be able to communicate better, understand each other better, be able to trust one another better, because that's a big deal. If there isn't trust on a team, getting to that next level can be extremely challenging, and innovation gets stymied. Innovation doesn't elevate, doesn't come easily if people don't trust one another. So it's about respect with the way each other thinks. It's about respect with the perception. So these are the things that you share with your manager in terms of using the right language. We want to avoid the don't, not, no words, and we do want to use yes, I can, I will words. And things like that will help, even with the way you write emails and the way you write your reports. All of that I work with on a team basis to get them to where they want to be. So I hope that answered your question.
Excellent, thank you. So, before we let you go, Terry, I would like to actually remind everybody again, where can we find Terry Wildemann?
They can, an easy way to do this is www.intuitiveleadership.com. On Facebook, just type in Terry Wildemann. LinkedIn and Twitter, type in Terry Wildemann, and all the profiles will show up.
Excellent. Well, I think it's an understatement to say that it's been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for sharing so much. We felt your love and your intuition. It's beautiful to be around you. Thank you so much for contributing so much to Mindalia TV, to our mission of increasing the consciousness level of the planet and to helping so many people. I think that we have helped a lot of people tonight. And so, yeah, absolutely, you have. So again, thank you very much. And for our audience, again, this is Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV. We have been extremely thankful and grateful for having you here tonight, and see you soon. Thank you for being with us. Bye-bye.